This is a company that values human resources, that values the role that we bring, which I love and appreciate. Our opinion is wanted, it's needed. I've worked at other organizations where we're more of a paper pusher and more of a, check the box. This is not that. This is a true partnership. We have an executive team who are incredibly talented at what they do, and we're the best when we all work together and bring what we're great at.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the peopleHum interview series. I'm your host, Nayan Jadeja, and let's begin with a quick introduction of peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end, one-view integrated human capital management automation platform. It was the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that is specifically built and crafted for employee experiences and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year, and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. Let me introduce you to our guest, Kelly Kauffman, who's the Chief Human Capital Officer at Milwaukee Bucks, the top leading basketball team for this season of the NBA. She's been working with the Bucks for over 5 years now. Previously, she was the Employee Relations Manager for Badger Meter. She's also one of the top 100 HR executives rated by the Human Resource Executive. So we are extremely happy and thrilled to have her be a part of our interview series today. So welcome, Kelly.
Thanks so much.
Have you here.
So excited to be here. I appreciate the invitation and looking forward to talking.
Absolutely, great. So let's get started. I guess a lot of people would wonder, human resources and a sports team, right? That sounds not very common. So how does HR really play a role in a sports team, and what's been your experience?
It's a great question. That's probably the top question that I get asked all the time. Right. And it's a fascinating thing because HR is exactly the same as you would imagine it being at all the industry and the different companies that each of you are working at. It's just the roles that we oversee and we help support are very different. So it took some learning to learn what some of these roles are. For example, like our mascot, some of these roles that are unique that I've never recruited for or had the opportunity to participate with, players, coaches, our medical staff. There's a lot of great people that we support as a team. So I oversee not only the team itself, but also the arena in which we play, which is Fiserv Forum. So there are a lot of unique roles in that organization as well, going from riggers and stage hands who put together all of the events and the shows and the stage for all the amazing acts that we have come into the building. To our guest services reps and, people on our security team who are integral to keeping that building up and running. So we have that at Fiserv Forum. We also oversee a G League team in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which is about 90 minutes north of Milwaukee. The great thing, we're in our 3rd season with our G League team, who has also left the season with the best record in the G League, which is amazing, the Wisconsin Herd. It's a great opportunity for us to be able to rehab our players, to get more playing time for some of the guys that we have on the NBA roster. So we sell tickets and perform all of our in-game entertainment and do everything, which is a great complement to our NBA team. And we also have an NBA 2K team as well, Bucks Gaming, who won 2 games last night in the series that they have going on. So we're a very diverse group. We also have a real estate holding company as well, which has Fiserv Forum, and we call it our Deer District, which is our entertainment district, which is outside of our building, which hosts some bars and restaurants. We just had Insomnia Cookies open during the time that we've been in hiatus. So overseeing HR for all of those different groups is a great challenge, but it also has a great amount of diversity in the amount of different types of roles in which we recruit for, which we, are building this culture towards. So it's been a lot of fun over the last 5 years. We went from just the NBA team itself to all of those different properties and different companies that I mentioned. So went from about 90 employees to right now we have 330, right around there, full-time employees, and about 1,100 part-time employees on the staff.
Wow. Yeah, that seems quite diverse, actually.
Yes.
So what are some of the challenges that you face in your role? Kind of what are some of the biggest challenges?
Yeah, I would say, one of the largest challenges that we oversaw was opening a building itself. So we had to learn about how to manage an arena from ground up, from, digging the hole in the ground to launching everything. And, now we're in a very weird time where we're not able to host any games in the arena. So it's, working through how we manage our team and keep people engaged during the time that there is no basketball or no events within the building. But prior to that, it was putting everything together from job descriptions. We held huge job fairs and huge recruiting opportunities where we interviewed, up to 1,000 people a day for the roles that we had in the building. So that's been a lot of fun. So now we're able to take that and open other components of our business, as we continue to grow that Deer District and some of the events that we'll be hosting moving forward.
I see. So one of the things that I'm particularly curious is, given you are pretty much the top contender for winning the NBA title this year, and given the pandemic that has hit us, right? What are some of the approaches you have taken? Because I'm sure the entire team is extremely disappointed and maybe even dejected with the fact that the season had to come to a halt, practices not happening, the games are now shifting to a different place. And so how are you trying to keep the team going?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're right. I mean, talk about, we were having our dream season. We have the MVP on our team and we were winning games and just in an amazing spot. And we still are. It's just paused, but it's a heartbreaking thing to be on such a high and on such a roll and then have everything come to a screeching halt.
Right.
So we immediately transitioned to a remote business. We were able to get all of our team up and running relatively quickly from a technology perspective. So we've all been at home. We've been hosting town hall meetings on a biweekly basis with the whole group, which has been great. That's our main method of communication, I would say, is face-to-face as we can get with one another on what the latest is and, the plans that we have for the team and for the organization itself, how we're continuing to sell, how we're managing getting the team down to Florida, what that means for the business itself. So we do that, and we also do a weekly email that our president sends out to the team too, with just updates on what's going on. There's obviously a lot of questions about the pandemic itself and what that means for us coming back to work, especially since we are working very well from a virtual perspective. So we just surveyed the team. It's been about 2 weeks now where we said, okay, tell us how this communication is working. What do you like? What do you need more from us? How do you feel about coming back into the office? And the overwhelming notice that we got back from people and the feedback was, we're really appreciative that you're giving us as much as you can. And we know that there's a lot of unknown, but, how do you see it looking when we do come back? How do we make sure that everyone is safe and those type of things? So we actually walked through that with the team yesterday and started to share bits of the plan on, how we're going to reintegrate everybody and changing our workspaces. We have a team that is dedicated to getting everybody back. And as you can imagine, within the arena itself, we have to change pretty much everything, and from a becoming touchless perspective to, cashless, to how do we manage getting people their food and beverage. Before, obviously, they could stand in line and they could just be there and be handed their food. And, we're coming up with different systems and different ways for people to be able to mobile order, to get their food and their drink. And, can they do that from their seat? Can they do that prior to getting in? Those different kind of things. So we're going to have to retrain not only our workforce, but also our fans as to, how they'll navigate the building, how they make sure that they'll be temperature checked on the way in, all of those different type of things. We're looking at every single possible piece in detail and sharing as much of that as we can with the employees to keep them engaged and keep them motivated and get their ideas. You can't think of everything, I don't think, at one time, especially when you're looking at a project that's that big.
True. Yeah, very true. You kind of mentioned, you are about 300 plus employees, and then a lot of, I guess, what's referred to as the gig economy or the temp workers, right? So how do you handle kind of, recruiting those temporary workers and making them feel engaged as well? What are the challenges, and how do you go about solving them?
That's a great question. Yep. So we have about, I would say, just over 1,000 of them between all the businesses that we support. Recruiting, we're very fortunate that we have a great voice when it comes to recruiting. That when we put out that you want to come work for the NBA arena for the best team in the league, we get a little bit of a great push from that. We're very lucky and grateful to be able to have that opportunity. We do a lot.
Your selection percentage must be.
Yes, we get a lot of applicants.
Yeah.
We're able to use a lot of media and PR to be able to help us from an HR perspective get the word out when we're looking for people, which has been an incredible help. So a lot of times, especially when we're looking for a huge group of people at one time, let's say we need to recruit a couple hundred people, our PR team will help us get the message out to local media. So they'll put on TV stations. We'll do an in-house job fair, for example, which we'll do at the building in the atrium. We've got a great process now. We've done this a lot of times where we can get people through, get them interviewed, get them offers quickly, and be able to get them through the process and onboarded. A lot of times we have spikes during the different parts of the season. For example, when we're going into the playoffs. If this was a normal season, we'd be looking for quite a few people because we're very fortunate that we have this entertainment plaza right outside the arena where we host huge viewing parties. So we need a lot of security staff and a lot of guest service staff to help us maintain the crowds and, make sure that we've got people in the appropriate places where they need to be able to watch the show. So we do use our PR team, like I said, for that. We do a lot of training. We call it stage training, which is a guest services training that every single part-time employee goes through. They receive rewards and recognition from not only their manager, but we give the fans themselves the opportunity to be able to provide feedback on how our employees are performing. And then they're rewarded for that, which is great. We have an amazing prize room that they can draw from that has some pretty fancy buck swag in it, and some different things that are a motivator for people, for a job well done. So all of our managers receive coins. They receive tokens that they're able to give to staff when they see them doing a great job. And we try to keep continual feedback and continual communication with them to reinforce that behavior.
Okay, got you. So one of the topics that's been quite hot in corporate America, and especially in the tech space, has been around diversity, right? So I was kind of curious, men's sports team, right? How do you see diversity as a challenge in your role?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, especially when you look at what a basketball team is off the court, it's a very sales and marketing driven organization. And what I noticed when I started about 5 years ago is that especially on the sales side, I think a lot of people who technically or gravitate towards sales maybe were of the male persuasion. And to your point, working for an NBA team and a really sports-minded team, we would get a lot of male applicants for those type of roles. And we've really tried to diversify that as much as we can. And in a lot of ways that we do that is we'll work closely with the different universities that we have locally. And I think that there's been a big change too in what I've seen the curriculum being from a sales-focused perspective to show that the best way to sell is to have a lot of different voices, because you have what might be a sales tactic to sell to you might be different to sell to me, because you may have a different reason for wanting to buy than I am, whether it's from an organization perspective or a personal person wanting to buy a ticket for a game. So we've had a lot of very successful women and men and diverse employees within our ticket sales organization be very, very successful by playing to their strengths in that way, and telling something from their own voice and with their own story. So I've seen a lot of change in that group. Obviously, there's a lot more to be done. There always is, and we can always be better. But I think that we've been able to go back to some of those universities and talk through with some of these potential candidates, like, hey, this is a field that could be great for you to go into, and here's why. We really empower a lot of our sales associates to be able to start to train others, and we have some night sales and some junior sales associates that come into the organization that they get the opportunity then to train and to continue to grow and develop. So I think that's one area that really just getting your message out there and showing what's important to you in people who are looking to grow into that field has been a big help for us.
I see. Got you. I would be curious, a couple of things. One is, what does culture mean for an organization like a sports team? And based on, the fact that you've been working in corporate America, do you see any differences kind of between, a normal, company versus a sports team that's especially, top notch?
Yes, I will say that's an awesome question. It is different in a lot of ways because there's an emotional attachment that I think happens over and above what I've seen, working at a manufacturing company, for example. I think, in a company like that, everyone's very proud of their product and they love it. But when you're working for a sports team and everyone is seeing and feeling what you do, we're selling experiences for people and we're selling emotion for people. You want to feel that high of your team winning and, Giannis dunking and, an amazing play and, winning a buzzer at the buzzer. There's a lot to be said to that. And you can feel the difference in the office when we win and when we lose. Last year, unfortunately, our season ended in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it was palatable how we felt when we came back to work and the season was over. It's always hard for it to end, but to end on that note was difficult. But when it's high, it is very, very high, and you can, we have a very strong engagement from our team, which is a great thing as well. So I think you're able to build your culture based on that. There's a lot of fun things and a lot of things that we have access to that I would say a typical organization may not, and we really like to build upon that. We're very open in how we communicate, to the point about, what we've been doing and how we've been managing during this pandemic. Our president is extremely hands-on. He'll talk to anyone. He wants to listen. He wants to grow. He wants to be better. And we all, kind of live that message from the top down. And that's a huge help. And that builds the culture because we want people to feel like they belong and they're included. And, we just ran, while we've been off, a business case competition where we had all of the employees in the organization form teams, and we asked that they did it outside of their typical department so that they had the opportunity to meet with others and come up with something that either we could sell as a business while we were off and the NBA was on hiatus, or something that we could do to improve upon our business. And we had just under 50 teams. So, times 3, basically all of the organization participated, and they came up with incredible ideas. I mean, and anything that you could possibly think of as how to, sell and continue to, be top of mind for people while the NBA is away. And, at first we thought of it as how do we continue to grow the business? What it really ended up doing was giving the opportunity for people to really come together with others that they might not have had the chance to work with before. The people who were some of the top ideas were able to present their ideas to the entire company. So we had groups of people who never had the chance to speak to the whole organization, really be able to shine, and get up there and show their thoughts and ideas and how they would implement something. And it was a runaway success. So I think we try to be very creative, and open to new ideas like that and be able to push through some of these neat opportunities to be able to give people the chance to participate.
I see. Another question that, some of the managers might have based on your learnings of either yourself being involved or watching coaches, would be, like if I'm managing a team and, the team is obviously made up of a mix of players, including, some are superstars or, really the shining ones. And then there are others who contribute in different ways. What advice would you give based on, whatever you've learned over the years or whatever you've learned kind of observing things over there at the Bucks?
Mm-hmm. So I think that one of the reasons that we are very successful as a basketball team and as a business is that we have role players from all areas of the group, right? Not everyone can be Giannis. He is a unicorn in and of itself. He's amazing. And there aren't that many people in the world that have what he has, but we need Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton. We need Dante DiVincenzo to come off the bench, and run plays. And it's the same in the business, right? You have to have people who are the superstars, but you also have to have the people who are strong support and can play the roles to get jobs done. Everybody is important and everybody has a role within the organization to make us a success. So I think the business is a great mirror of what the team is when it comes to that we build and we recruit and we hire people who are great complements. They bring something that maybe someone else is missing to the department that we're looking at when we're recruiting, to really have a great, well-rounded group to be able to be successful.
Got you. Okay. And I guess my kind of probably the last question, obviously the Milwaukee Bucks are doing phenomenally well. It's been a huge success. Definitely top contenders, and the value of the organization obviously has also increased dramatically over the last few years, right? What has that meant in terms of what kind of an impact has it been for your group or your team in terms of HR?
Yeah, it's a huge change. So when I started working at the organization, we were coming off a 15-win season. We weren't prominent in the community. We were not known in the NBA as being a strong team. From a business and a basketball perspective, we were struggling in a lot of ways. I always tell the story when I got the job, I wanted to go buy some swag for my kids so I could say, hey, guess where I got this new job? This is so great. And I had to go to a myriad of different stores to even find any gear, because that's how low people in Wisconsin thought of the team. Unfortunately, we were at the bottom of the barrel at that point. The beauty of that is that you have the opportunity to really grow and flourish and change the way that you do everything. And we did that from the ground up. So I was actually the first HR hire that the team had ever had. So there was no HR department. So I had the opportunity to be able to grow and change really and form our processes and our policies to make sure that we were being fair and consistent, and we had a plan. We got really involved in the community. We launched the Milwaukee Bucks Foundation, and we continued to grow on the basketball side as well. So all of these things kind of came together, and we went from being, again, a bottom team to, I just before this call had the NBA reach out to me with an idea that they had and wanted to run things by us. We're now viewed as being incredibly successful and forward thinking, and they want our ideas, and they've seen how we've changed from start to finish, and it has really changed the way that we are able to recruit. You know, to your point, we talked about a little bit about before, when we post a job and you're the best team in the league, people want to work for you, right? And they see it both on the court and off the court as well, which is exactly what we were hoping for. We have a lot of draw, we have a lot of influence, and that is really helpful from an HR perspective. This is a company that values human resources, that values the role that we bring, which I love and appreciate. You know, our opinion is wanted, it's needed. I've worked at other organizations where we're more of a paper pusher and more of a, you know, check the box. This is not that. This is a true partnership. We have an executive team who are incredibly talented at what they do, and we're the best when we all work together and bring what we're great at to help one another. And I think that that's really trickled down throughout the organization. There's an interesting perspective to it, that it puts the spotlight on you, and we're lucky that we're able to use that to our advantage to show great things and be able to move the needle on things and have a voice, which is a lot of fun.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it was definitely a great pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing all of your insights with us. You definitely have a huge fan base here, and we are going to be rooting for you guys to lift the championship this year for sure.
Thank you. We are too. We'll have to do it virtually, but we'll say go Bucks. We're ready.
Absolutely. Well, great. Thanks a ton. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Take care and have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.